over 30 years now, and it's pretty amazing what we've been able to accomplish when you consider how few people really get involved in it. And, as spread out as we are and limited on resources we are and all those things, and yet we keep winning. We had a gang control act that was going through that basically would say that anybody riding down the street in a group of 3 or more that had any kind of insignia or anything that identified them as members of the same group, club, or organization would be considered a criminal element.
Came down this weekend to speak at the Freedom Rally and meet a lot of people. Good, strong Freedom Rally. Good people here this weekend, so that's why I'm here.
In terms of the foundation, it was recently honored by Senator Nighthorse Campbell. Can you give me a little summary of that?
MRF was recognized for its work in Washington, D.C. We were the first bikers' rights organization to actually start lobbying members of Congress in Washington, D.C. We've been doing that for over 10 years now, and Senator Campbell was gracious enough to go out on the floor of the Senate and recognize the MRF for the work we've been doing, all the legislative victories we've had. Of course, those victories have been accomplished not only because the MRF is in Washington, D.C., doing it day in and day out. We have a full-time lobbyist there, but we couldn't do anything that we do in Washington if it wasn't for all the state motorcyclist rights organizations around the country really pulling with us and helping us, and other activists as well who pull this whole thing together. But Senator Campbell, if we had 100 of him in Congress, we'd have this thing whipped. He's a wonderful man, a great proponent of freedom in general and of motorcyclist rights. Each state is a little bit different. You have to realize that each of the state organizations are autonomous. Each one is run independently. Even though we all network and work together, each one is independent, and there's a reason for that. Back in the late 60s, early 70s time frame, Easy Riders magazine actually started the first ABATE organization. They came up with the acronym, and at that time it was a national approach, and they were trying to run the thing out of California. And what they found out was that you needed to localize because we deal with local issues. And what happened was the state organizations started forming as state organizations. Colorado and Arizona are pretty similar. We both got good, strong legislators who support our rights as bikers and our freedom. Most of the western states, I think, share that, although not all. But the different issues that are faced around the country by the state organizations are widespread. All of us obviously fight against things like helmet laws, but as far as other things that come up and issues that we face and the makeup of our state legislatures, those are all different. And that's why it's important that we have strong groups in each state who are, they're the people on the ground. They know the issue in their state. And what MRF does is try to help act as a clearinghouse and an advisor wherever we can. Whenever a state organization asks us to help them with an issue, we try to do that. I was fortunate enough to attend the ACMC meeting yesterday. That's the Arizona Confederation of Clubs meeting, and I thought it was wonderful. In particular, I've got an old habit. I've been doing this for a long time, and usually when legislative topics come up, about half the crowd, regardless of what crowd you're in, they start getting a little hazy. And it was really encouraging for me yesterday when we had 3 different lobbyists, one for ACMC, one for MMA of Arizona, and one for ABATE of Arizona, got up and talked about the legislative issues that are going on here in Arizona. And the whole crowd was really listening and learning, and that to me was a real, very positive thing. I think that the Confederation here is doing some good work and pulling people together, working very closely with ABATE and MMA, and I enjoyed myself.
I've been asking a general question in regards to any point of view you want to share about the good, the bad, and the ugly of being on a bike.
Well, the old Hollywood stereotypes are pretty easy to pull out as far as the bad and ugly sides of it. To me, riding a motorcycle has always been just something that I love. Even the bad times usually turn out to be good. We all have problems, but you have those problems no matter what you do in life, and it's hard for me to point to anything bad and ugly about motorcycling. It's the best thing you can do if you ask me. There's no better feeling in the world than riding your bike and getting out there. I have to laugh sometimes when the environmentalists come after us and they talk about how noisy we are, and I'm the first to admit that kind of noise can bother people and you need to tone it down and be courteous of others. But at the same time, when you talk about environmentalists, we're the real environmentalists. We're out in it every day. We love it. And it's hard for me to say anything negative about motorcycling. It's a wonderful thing. Something I hope to do for the rest of my life, and hope my sons and daughter ride and, continue to ride, and my grandchildren and everybody else. It's just a great thing. I'm really thankful that a bit of Arizona in particular, and this year I know MMA and ACMC were both instrumental in bringing this rally together. Anytime we can get people together like this and share ideas, talk to each other, work together, it's a good thing. So I want to thank those groups for making this thing happen, and hopefully it'll keep happening year after year after year.
Thank you very much.
You betcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.